হয়ে গেছে। আর ওই লোগোটাকে কি বললি উপরে তুলে দিতে হবে, তাই তো? এটা উইন্ডোজ ক্যাপচার 2 দেখাচ্ছে, কিন্তু এটা 1 হয়ে গেছে। 2টাকে সিলেক্ট করে নিচের আরোটা প্রেস করলেই নেমে যাবে তো? করে নামছে করে। দেখ কি লাইভ শুরু হয়ে গেছে, ওদেরকেও এখনো বক্তৃতা শুরু করেনি কিছু।
হ্যালো, হ্যালো, হ্যালো।
Mohammed, you are not audible.
হ্যাঁ, দাঁড়া দিচ্ছি। একজন এসছে।
Not audible, Mohammed.
এসে হ্যালো হ্যালো করছে, কাউকে তো পাচ্ছে না।
হ্যালো, হ্যালো।
হ্যাঁ, দিচ্ছি, দাঁড়া। হ্যাঁ হ্যাঁ, আমার মাইক।
হ্যালো,
Welcome, Premanshuda.
হ্যালো, আই এম অডিবল?
Yes, you are very much audible. Just
ঠিক।
make your screen a little bit higher because it was your head is cut down in the screen actually.
হ্যাঁ, কি করব?
আপনার স্ক্রিনটা একটু সোজা করুন, উপরের দিকে তুলে দিন, মাথাটা কেটে যাচ্ছে। হ্যাঁ
চলে এসছে, হয়ে গেছে, ছেড়ে দে।
হ্যাঁ, এবার ঠিক আছে।
আচ্ছা, আমি করে নিচ্ছি।
ওরা হ্যালো হ্যালো করেই যাচ্ছে।
এবার ঠিক আছে?
হ্যাঁ, অনেকটা বেটার।
ঠিক আছে।
স্ক্রিনটা একটু কাছে আনলে কি আপনার খুব অসুবিধা হবে? একটু কাছে
দেখছি।
আনুন, তাহলে ক্লিয়ারলি আসবে।
ঠিক আছে?
হ্যাঁ, ঠিক আছে।
আচ্ছা।
Yeah.
হ্যাঁ
Uh,
মহোদয় are we all ready
2 to 25 you can start.
225
Just a minute. Himanshuda, welcome.
Thank you.
hope we all are ready now
Yes, yes. Yeah, you start
Okay.
now.
Yes, let's start. Good afternoon, everybody. Good afternoon, everybody. My sincere regards to our respected President Sir, Principal Sir, honorable speakers and guests. My best wishes to the IQSC of our college. My gratitude and warm wishes to all who are present here and are associated with it. I also extend my best wishes to each and every one of Birbhum Mahavidyalaya. Now, we are in our fourth session of day 2 of 2 days national level webinar on impact of COVID-19 in the existing socio-economic environment, organized by IQSC Birbhum Mahavidyalaya, Zurich. Like the earlier sessions, in this session also, we will have the pleasure to hear some exclusive lectures and presentations by our eminent speakers and guests. In this half, we'll first have the pleasure to hear the special lecture by Professor Premanshu Chakraborty, Professor of Geography, Vishwabharati. Then we'll have our question answering and presentation session After that, we will move on to the valedictory session, where we will have valedictory address by Professor Parvati Nandi, valedictory address by Professor B.R. Kisma, valedictory note by our principal sir, and vote of thanks by the convener. Okay, now we are extremely glad to have with us Professor Premanshu Chakraborty, Professor of Geography, Vishwabharati, who will deliver special lecture on COVID-19 in the Indian society and analysis from the perspective of welfare geography. Before his exclusive lecture, I would like to request our respected convener, Professor Mohua Sen, to introduce our speaker. Over to Professor Mohua Sen.
Thank you, Pia. Let me introduce Dr. Professor Premanshu Chakraborty. Premanshu Chakraborty, Professor in Geography, Department of Geography, Vishwabharati, Shantiniketan, West Bengal. He has received subsequent training in the field of remote sensing and GIS at NATMO 2008, RSL, BST, Government of West Bengal 2009, NBSS and LUP 2012, and IRRS Dehradun 2016. Specialized in social, cultural, and tourism geographies. He has contributed more than 60 number of research articles to different academic journals published from various sources. Apart from presenting research papers in international and national level seminars, as well as chairing, co-chairing sessions, he regularly delivers invited lectures in different institutions and also in refresher courses. He is a number of editorial boards of a number of national level geographical journals in India and also serving as a reviewer. He particularly undertakes research studies on sustainable development of backward areas and its people. A major research project sanctioned by University Grants Commission, India, for his research in this field is already completed. 7 scholars have already been awarded PhD under his supervision. He has teaching experience of more than 19 years serving affiliated government colleges and a state university where he served as chairman of undergraduate, postgraduate, and research board of studies. He was awarded for his contribution as head of the department on the Independence Day of 2014 for his service to Kolkata University before joining Vishwabharati on 25th 9 2014. So I again welcome Dr. Chakraborty and please over to Pia. Pia, please invite him to deliver a lecture.
Thank you, Mohade. We now request Professor Premanshu Chakraborty to kindly deliver his lecture. Welcome, sir. Very good afternoon. Over to you, sir. Professor Chakraborty.
Thank you. I am audible.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And visible also.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting me. Greetings to the audience. Since this webinar is organized by Geography Department, I desire to put my submission from the perspective of a branch of geography, that is welfare geography, with special emphasis on what we geographers could contribute to the society at this juncture by utilizing the knowledge of our discipline. This is the applied part of our subject. Therefore, my lecture would be divided into 2 parts. One is theoretical part, that is the core of welfare geography, the concept. With this concept, I am going to analyze the problem, and next, the applied part, how we can use the knowledge acquired by us in combating, to some extent, combating the problem faced by our society. Thank you again. In welfare geography, Inquiry starts from who gets what, where, why, and how. If we define geography, inquiry of geography as why things are located where they are. What is geography? Why things are located there where they are. This has been elaborated in 1990s in the development of welfare geography, the development of inquiry, who gets what, where, why, and how. First, I begin with who. I beg to draw the attention on who are most vulnerable. Who are most vulnerable from COVID? The answer is very simple. Anyone can give the answer. The poor, the marginals, the weaker section of the society are most affected. But the answer is not so simple because poverty is not a simple thing. Poverty can be divided into three groups. First, extreme poverty. Who are extremely poor? Who are extremely poor? They who are not only below the poverty line, who are actually in beggar-like situation. They are not very much affected with this because with COVID-19, there are many organizations apart from government, they are supplying aid, specifically food. Therefore, they are not very much affected because their situation has not very much changed. Where they are, almost they remain there. The next is absolute poverty. Who are below the poverty line? They are also receiving the aid distributed by various organizations, including government. There are many suppliers of foods and reliefs. But the third part, the third section, that is relative poverty. Who are under the relative poverty? They are actually apparently above the poverty line, but facing the livelihood crisis, that is our lower middle class people. Our lower middle class people has also ego, for which they are reluctant to receive the aids distributed by various organizations. They are facing the problem within their families. And therefore, livelihood crisis, it is actually faced by lower middle class and also the middle class of the society. They are the who in our inquiry, who gets what, where, why, and how. Then I beg to address where. Where is the crisis? The crisis lies in loan repayment. Many have taken loan for various purposes, and the crisis begins as there is poor income with this COVID, and it is very difficult to address the loan, including the interest, and many of them are very much in distress condition in relative poverty group. This is the first one. The next one is the transport is very costly. In order to reach whatever you want, now there is no railway. Some buses are plying. Therefore, if for any crisis they have to hire a car, then there is more pressure on their family income, which is reducing. Therefore, this is another part from which they are very much affected. The third one is their medical insecurity. You all know what is happening in hospitals with COVID and without COVID. And this is another area of crisis. And these types of crises actually leading them to misery and poverty, which is not actually apparently seen. And another very important part which I want to address with special emphasis, there is education of children. There are online classes and requirement of smartphone. They have to provide smartphone to their children. This is another challenging area for them. And with such, the people who are facing the relative poverty, they are actually in distress, and from this distress, what happens? Depression comes, and there are many suicidal cases in families suffering from relative poverty. Then the third one is why. Who gets what, where, why? Why this happens? This is because informal sector is very much affected with COVID, and this lower middle class and middle class people are very much associated with this informal sector. What is the difference between informal sector and formal sector? To be very precise, in case of informal sector, there is no actual time for the job, there is no such fixed salaries, but they are working, getting the daily and weekly or monthly income. And these people are very much affected. And how this crisis built? First is wage cut, they face wage cut. Next is zero salary. From some cases, they are getting no salary. This is technically called zero salary. Job is there, but there is no income. And third one is termination. These three, they are faced. The people in relative poverty group, they are silently faced, and they are not very much aided with from any sources. And thus, from the perspective of welfare geography, I am going to address their problem: who gets what, where, why, and how. An example can be cited from tourism industry. Tourism industry, in case of tourism industry, most thing is informal sector. And in tourism, there are very much challenges in the sectors which are also associated. Maybe from I can give you the example from agriculture. There is challenge in food and beverage industry. And for this food and beverage industry, the raw material comes from agricultural sector. Therefore, what happens? It happens that in agricultural sector, there is less demand of these items. This sector is also affected. Then reduction of maintenance budget. There is construction industry in tourism market for building of hotels, etc., etc. And there is reduction of cost of maintenance bills. There is loss of job, and thus they are also affected. The service provider, such as travel agencies, such as guides, they are directly affected. Their income is almost zero during COVID. And especially one thing which is very much neglected but very important when you analyze the socio-economic part, that is female participation in labor force. What happens? Females are not so much directly associated with tourism industry, but they are indirectly associated. Tourists are purchasing souvenirs from each and every tourist places. What are such souvenirs? Say Dokra work of Bakura, the terracotta works of Bakura, these type of things. These demands are affected, demand of these things are affected, and what happens? In origin, that is in Dokra villages, in terracotta villages, where women are absorbed, these women are jobless. And thus, the family income is also affected. By this way, the COVID is indirectly affecting the participation of female labor force. Their market is also shrinking. What happens in case of Noyas of Potuas? In Potuas are living in Noyagram, near Pingla, West Mednipur. They have converted their art in making the poems and drawing on the COVID safety rules. And by this way, by their own mechanism, they are trying to combat the disaster. But this is not possible for Dokra artisans, this is not possible for terracotta artisans, therefore they are suffering. How to address their problem? First, it is required to provide them 0% interest loans. Next, extension of medical facilities to them in this crisis, and purchased by government agencies like Monjusha to avoid distress sale of art objects. These type of measures can be taken from government level to save them, save the informal sector actually. This is informal sector of economy that required to be protected. It is distinguished from formal sector where regular wage or salary is available, specific working hours are present, and government monitoring prevails. Only 21% of workforce of India is associated with formal sector, and according to Center of Monitoring Indian Economy, 18 million jobs have been lost between April to July. Even during unlock period in July, only 50 lakh is lost because of tendency to replace salaried job by daily wage in view of uncertainty of business. Revival of low-wage job market at the cost of salaried job is the recent trend that affects the livelihood of the middle class most, drawing them in the cycle of relative poverty if not addressed properly. And what happens actually? The middle class people are actually sandwiched between the crisis in demand chain. What happens to the railway hawkers? There is no job now for railway hawkers as alternatives. You cannot offer them, no one can offer them the alternative. Therefore, they are affected by disruption of demand chain. And in case of supply chain, what happens due to lockdown, restriction, social safety norms, the production cost increases and supply is less. And in between them, they are actually sandwiched. And under such circumstance, what to do? Provision of food to the distressed people is not enough for a shining India, because these provision of food items can address the people of extreme poverty and absolute poverty so much, but it is not very much applicable for people facing relative poverty. And no one actually doing anything seriously, thinking very seriously on them. Now, addressing extreme and relative poverty, after addressing the extreme and absolute poverty, how to combat or provide help to the people suffering from relative poverty and what could be done, this is the next part of my present part of my lecture. And in this, I want to address the specific issue which we are educationists are very much associated with. I am taking this particular point, that is the education, that is online education, for which smartphone is needed. What to do with it? What can be done? A smartphone bank can be created. But who can create the smartphone bank? Say, the apparent solution is it can be created in educational institution level. But if it can be created in education institution level, the impact would be less. Impact would be more if it can be created in local club level. Why? In our localities, all areas are served by clubs. And many of us are member of this club-like organizations. The local people actually know who the families which are actually under distress. If you provide smartphone from smartphone bank, this smartphone bank should be created by collection of second-hand smartphones. There may be voluntary donation of second-hand smartphones by which this smartphone bank could be created. And if such smartphone bank could be created by the local clubs, then what happens? They can distribute properly, selecting the actual people, who are in real distress, which is not possible from educational institution level, because everyone will come with certificates as they are poor, they are suffering. Therefore, actual distribution, wise distribution, because in smartphone bank, you must remember the supply would not be adequate. Then, therefore, you have to choose the real needy people. And what can be done by our geography people in this respect? As all of us, more or less, have some association with local clubs where we are living, and fortunately, we have geographical information system knowledge. We can apply this geographical information system knowledge for database creation, database management system of the families and their locations can be undertaken. And based on this, with the analysis through application of GIS software, we can easily identify the families, list the families in scientific ways with their location, so that no question of biasness will arise. No problem will arise with the allegation of biasness in distribution of such smartphones from local clubs. The free software is available now. Therefore, if we apply this knowledge for the distribution of smartphone from smartphone banks prepared by any organization, maintained by any organization, the distribution part of the smartphone will be wisely addressed, and the problem will be really addressed with such provision. This will be the application part of our subject, and thus we can contribute in this crisis with our knowledge, which is actually expected from our society. Thank you. Now, my lecture is open for discussion. Hello?
Hello, thank you, sir.
Hmm.
Hello. Thank you, sir, for such a beautiful and exclusive lecture. It was really informative. We are really grateful to you, sir, for your in-depth analysis on so many interconnected issues. And as you said, anybody with any question can proceed now. So may I request the audience, anybody from the audience, do you have any question? Anything you want to know from sir? Audience, anybody? So, anyone from the audience, do you have anything? Any question? Okay, sir.
Thank you.
I think there is no question from the audience right now.
Then you can start the next session, please.
Thank you, sir, once again for your kind lecture that you have given, and we are really grateful to you, sir. So we look forward to the next session, and I request Mohadi. Mohadi, can you hear me?
Sir, can you hear me?
Yes, yes, Mohadi. Yes, you are audible and visible. Yes, Mohadi.
Manjuri Di, have you joined? I first thank to Professor Primangshu Chakraborty for delivering such a nice presentation for poverty and other welfare geography. We are enriched, also enriched a lot in welfare spectrum, that your deliberation is so good in poverty sector, in poverty guidelines. So I am again convey my sincere thank to you, Premangshuda.
Thank
If any questions, Pia? Pia, can
Actually,
you ask?
yes, Mohadi, we
Ask
were
any
looking
questions?
for. Yes, Mohadi, we were looking for any questions from the audience, but right now I hope there is no question. Audience, once again, do you have any question? You can ask right now. Anybody with any question can proceed now. We have got an informative lecture from Sir.
Then you can
So,
ask the Quail Pal for conducting the paper presentation session.
yes, Mohadi, we will move to our next section, which is the paper presentation session. And I request Professor Quellpaul to kindly. Hello.
Hello?
I request. Yes.
Hello?
Hello, Doctor. Yes.
Hello?
Dr. Manjuri Sharkar Basu has joined us, Mohadi.
Yes, yes.
Yes. Ma'am.
Yes?
Yes, ma'am. Can you hear us, ma'am?
Yes, yes.
Yes, ma'am. Welcome, ma'am.
Thank you.
And I request Professor Quellpaul to start the next session. Over
Let
to
me
Professor
introduce
Quellpaul.
Manjuri Sarkar Basu. He will chair the next paper presentation session. And I really thankful to Pramanshuda for with us in this fourth session. And now we are starting
thank
our paper presentation session. And I request Manjuri Sarkar Basu kindly chair the session, and Quail will conduct the paper presentation session. So, Quail, you can continue.
Thank you, Mohadi. Thank you, Piyadi. Today it was almost the last segment of our 2 days national webinar, and it was the last interaction session of the participants with the resource person as well as the faculties and the presenter. For this session, I would like to welcome Dr. Manjuri Sarkar Basu, and I would like to introduce herself. She is a very well-known person for the fraternity of geography, as she is our almost senior-most colleague. She is now in Kandra Kundu Sriti Mohabiddyalaya, Kandra, Radhakanta Kundu Sriti Mohabiddyalaya, Kandra. She is assistant professor there for last than a decade, I think. Welcome, ma'am. Welcome for the interaction session and paper presentation organized by IQAC, Birgu Mohabiddyalaya. With due permission from our principal sir, our convener ma'am, I will like to introduce the presenter for this session. We have 4 presentations for this session, and with due respect from our chairperson ma'am, I will like to introduce our first presenter. Uh, it will be honor, ma'am, if you kindly permit our time limit that we have 4 presenter here, and almost 30-minute time we are decided to complete these presentations. So if you please conduct it. Okay, Payal. Now actually first of all. I convey my sincere thanks and gratitude to convener madam and principal sir and all of the presenter participant and all of the resource persons sir. Thank you and thank you for convener madam to invite me for
chairing this session. Actually, only 4 paper is there for presenting this session. So, may I request all the presenters to kindly complete their paper within 5 minutes. After completion, all 4 papers, 1 or 2 minutes left for some question answering. If anybody can queries about any paper from most of the 4 presenter. I request all the paper presenter they must emphasize their paper on their objectives, findings, and observation, and lastly remedial measures. Now may I over to Pile for calling the paper presenter.
Thank you, Manjari. It was Koel, by the way.
Sorry, Pile. Sorry.
Okay, let me move to the presentation section. And now our first presentation of this segment is, may I request to Nazmin Nahar, Faculty, Department of Commerce, Surendranath College, Kolkata, and Dr. Zafar Ali Khan, Principal, Kobi Nozrul College, Muraroi. Their presentation topic is role of ICT for the sustainable rural development in India in the existing socio-economic environment. Please, Najmoon Nahar, ma'am.
Yes, I am. Am I audible?
Yes, you are audible. Please make your video on so that you are visible too.
Actually, my webcam have some problem.
Okay. Don't worry. Please, let's start with your presentation.
Okay, thank you. Good afternoon, respected chairperson of the session and Birbhum Mahavidyalaya, and also all the other participants. I, Nazmun Nahar, want to present the research study in this national webinar. My research paper is entitled Role of ICT for Sustainable Rural Development in India in Existing Socio-Economic Environment. The total study is divided into 6 sections. Let's start with introduction. ICT, first we know about ICT, Information and Communication Technology, refer to technologies that provide access to information through telecommunication. It is similar to IT, but ICT primarily focus on communication technology, like computer, mobile, radio, TV. The socio-economic development, firstly socio-economic itself a combination of two words related to factor like education and professional as well as economic factor like income, resources and expenses. In this mm, hello, am audible?
Yes.
Sorry ma'am for the late. In this way, the socio-economic development can be defined as a process of changes or improvement in social and economic conditions. The basic objectives of our study to improve the use of ICT for rural development, to reduce the digital gap between the rural people and other world, to develop the curiosity of rural people, to improve the living standard of people living in remote rural areas, to track the rural people in the mainstream of the society. A different type of digital platform to access the information technology. First one is the poverty alleviation. Play a significant role in fighting against rural and urban poverty and fostering sustainable development through creating information-rich society and supporting livelihood, the development of ICT, especially in remote areas, enhancing people economic opportunity and access to financial resource. ICT can become powerful tool for reducing poverty in rural area. E-governance. E-governance, the National E-Governance Plan is an initial of Government of India to make all government services available to the citizen of India via electronic media. Education, another important role of ICT is education. education program not only provide computer education for rural students, but also it provide information on higher education. Employment opportunity in various fields. ICT into this context will increase the gender gap of ICT skill and knowledge. Health, telemedicine enhance efficiency and effectiveness by bringing diagnostics at the doorstep of the rural population. Employment opportunity. ICT provide people and entrepreneurs to capture economic opportunities by increasing process efficiently. Expanded economic network. Two area of employment opportunity varies from the development of ICT. Unemployed people can use ICTs to discover job opportunity, and second, they can become employed within new jobs that are greater through the development of ICT. Different type of digital platform to access information. First one, my smart village application. This program to improve public facility in village area. Once the user register on app, it will help user to get various kind of information related to the village. Also, it help user to make complaint about power shortage, inadequate water supply, poor sanitation, etc. Internet Sathi program. The Internet Sathi program can easily collect information with minimum internet connectivity. Some of women trying under the program have also started their own micro business like stitching, honeybee, farming and beauty parlor. Challenges in ICT. Challenges in ICT. Uh, Literacy. In India, most of people living in a rural area, literate than urban people. The government is creating attempt to growing the literacy rate in the rural population, but still a large amount of need to be done as it is far less than the literacy rate in urban population. One of the major challenges is that technical literacy. There is a condition between education level and use of internet. Difficulties in accessing technology resulting from inadequate technical means are faced. Internet speed problem. Present high-speed internet is limited to town and cities, while many villages struggle to get a stable signal on their mobile phone. In addition, availability of broadband is almost negligible in the rural area. Poverty. To accessing the internet is a costly issue for necessary communities in the form of installing the required telephone lines needed for internet or email access is similar to exclusive in developing countries. Also, lack of awareness. Rural communities also lack to gain knowledge to utilize this resource due to the absence of social support network, especially for women and older men. Those in rural areas who are able to climb the ladder and gain digital knowledge and guide others usually move out to the cities as a result of lack of employment in village. This result is a lack of social support for those left behind. Language dominance. The dominance of English on the internet boundaries access non-English speaking population. In this case of India, mostly population does speak in Hindi and their region language. Hesitate to revolutionize. People are disciplined to change as e-governance means transform of the system from manual to computerized based. It is generally disliked by the employee and the general public. Conclusion. The various type, there is many contribution of the use of ICT in socio-economic growth. The creation of digital opportunity within all sectors as a whole, as a long-term approach, is essential for socio-economic development of a country. It requires even more effort and cooperation to sustain as well as keep up with the pace of narrowing the digital divide, although all of the following areas are visible in growth: information access, education, research and development, delivery of public services, agriculture, health. The sustainable goal. There are 17 goals required to us to design and deploy integrated development solutions that enable us to address some of the root cause of poverty that goes beyond traditional poverty reduction program. As we know that India had lots of award-winning projects, but behind this, it also faces the number of challenges for better delivery of information on rural area. Thank you. These are my reference if anyone want to study further, then use it. Thank you so much.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Nazmul Nahar. And we will move to the question at the last segment. Now we will go for the second presentation. And our second presenter is Professor Aditi Bandyopadhyay, Assistant Professor, Department of English, Birbhum Mahavidyalaya, Shuri. And her presentation is entitled as Pandemic and Society, Analyzing the COVID-19 Crisis and its Socio-Economic, Socio-Cultural Impact. I will like to request Professor Aditi Bandyopadhyay, kindly please start your presentation.
Thank you, Koel. Good afternoon, everybody. Respected chairperson, respected principal, sir, distinguished guests, colleagues from different colleges, and my dear students. The title of my paper is Pandemic and Society, Analyzing the COVID-19 Crisis and its Socio-Cultural Impact. As the world tries desperately to curb the COVID-19 pandemic, we are becoming enlightened with the significant changes that it has brought about in our different walks of life. This cataclysmic virus has again reminded us that in spite of several scientific developments and technological marvels, we still remain vulnerable to the attack of pandemics. Since times past, neither natural calamity nor war has killed more living beings than pandemics. Whether it be the Black Death of the 14th century, or it be the great bubonic plague that struck the 17th century England, or it be the smallpox and bacilli that was carried from the old European world to the new world of America, or it be the 19th century cholera, or it be the COVID-19 today, pandemic remains a potential threat to mankind. Now, discussing this history of pandemic, I would like to draw your attention to certain terms which were coined in the meantime. You see, the first plague that affected was the plague of the Justinian in the 6th century, which killed almost 30 to 50 million people dead because it continued for quite a few years. And again, the Black Death that hit Europe in 1347, that also continued for the next 300 years, and it recurred almost after every 10 years. In the meantime, you see, the concept arose where the sailors were isolated for 30 days, and therefore the term was trenchio. And then the Venetian sailors, they increased the span to 40 days, and they gave it a term, quarantino, from which we have the present day quarantine concept. Again, drawing your attention to the plague that hit London in 1665, you see, England imposed laws to separate and isolate the sick. This was the concept of self-isolation. And the victims, they were forcibly shut down in rooms, and Red Cross was painted on the doors, and a plea was hung which said, God have mercy upon us. So this was the concept of self-isolation which developed during that period. Again, I would like to draw your attention to some of these terms which appear in pandemic literature. You see, Dryden has a very interesting journal written in 1665 during the time of the plague. It's titled The Journal of the Plague Year, where he talks about the asymptomatic cases. And I quote, that the infection was propagated insensibly and by such persons as were not visibly infected, who neither knew whom they infected or who they were infected by. Again, the concept of social distancing emerges in the work of Camus. In The Plague, he writes, and I quote, the evil in the world comes almost always from ignorance, and goodwill can cause as much damage as ill will if it is not enlightened. So you see, these terms appeared during that period. Again, very interestingly, pandemics became a part of one's culture, because you see, if you see the time of the plague and especially the Black Death in northern part of Europe, there was a character which appeared in folklore, and this was called the Black Death, and it appeared as an old woman, who was stoop-shouldered, and she was clad in black, and she carried a broom and a rake, almost resembling the witch figure. So you see, what I'm trying to trace is that we have moved from past to present, but it's a continuum, as far as pandemics are concerned. And this reminds me of Whitman's line from Passage to India, where he says, for what is the present after all but a growth out of the past? So pandemics have been existing since the beginning of civilization. In the past, communication was not good, so pandemics affected comparatively smaller areas and killed many people due to the lack of medical facilities. Now we have good medical facilities, but we cannot forget the fact that due to engineering marvels and discoveries by geographers and voyagers, we are well connected globally. So as humans travel, you see, diseases also travel, and as a result, pandemics affect far and wide areas. And to use Whitman's term, marriage of continents, climates, and oceans, therefore, has actually made the disease to spread in wide areas. Now, interestingly, you see, in the end of last year, in 2019, US President Donald Trump's Department of Health and Human Services carried out a pandemic exercise named Crimson Contagion, which imagined a flu pandemic starting in China and spreading around the world. On the 11th of March, who declared the disease as a pandemic, and on the 26th of March, it confirmed that more than 470,000 cases were confirmed across the world. 20,000 were left dead, touching every continent except Antarctica. So this shows how far and wide the disease has spread. Now, in this context, it is interesting to note that pandemics always have a multidimensional repercussion on human lives and environment. So in this regard, a study of the socio-cultural impact of COVID-19 emerges as a significant area of study. Now, in this context, I would first like to draw your attention to healthcare. I'm not going into much details due to the paucity of time, but you see, healthcare providers, it's a big challenge for them across the globe to fight this pandemic. The vaccine is yet under processing. And you see, in this process, a major evil has emerged, which is termed vaccine nationalism. Now, this vaccine nationalism is basically an effort by the rich countries to procure the vaccine through the vaccine manufacturers even before they have been, finalized. During this trial phase only, many rich countries have procured the vaccines, and because of this, the economically deprived nations will not get the vaccines in time. Though the WHO has introduced the concept of COVAX facility, which ensures the fact that by the end of next year, maybe they'll be able to provide the vaccines to the economically deprived nations, but how far that will work, that is still a big question. So you see, there's a moral crisis somewhere as well when we talk about global politics. Now, coming to the psychosocial ethical impact, the question of the unplanned lockdowns and its effect and how far is it fruitful, that remains a big question. Because you see, that is giving rise to unemployment, people are losing jobs, and most of the economically deprived sections, they are starving. And you see, this in future will definitely lead to antisocial activities for the sake of procuring food. Again, traveling restrictions and other measures which have made us contained within the four walls of the room, that is creating a lot of anxiety, stress, and depression among the people. And when we hear about soaring cases around us, when we see dead bodies, the anxiety is even more. The concept of social distancing, which has become a reeling norm nowadays, you see, that has actually somehow become a challenge to human solidarity. And the COVID-19 patients, you see, they are in most of the places, they are being stigmatized. And the condition is such that even the family members in certain cases, they are not ready to accept their family member who is coming cured from the hospitals. The hospitals are also showing callous behavior at times. So you see, several evils are emerging in the process. Cultural celebrations have been suffering a lot. The new concepts have been emerging, like online marriages are taking place. You see, very interestingly, mask has become a very, very mandatory part of our attire. I have a small child, 2-year-old, and when I go out, he doesn't even know how to speak fluently now, but he tells me, Mama, mark, mark. That means he knows that one has to wear a mask when we go out now. So you see, this generation is gradually, they'll take time to understand that actually mask is not a part of our attire, but it's the effect of this disease. Interestingly, mask has also, replaced some of the traditional customs. We see the brides and bridegrooms not wearing jewelry nowadays, but they wear gold masks, silver masks. So this is becoming a part of self-fashioning. Again, you see the use of sanitizers, which we saw as a part of self-fashioning, has now become a necessity. So, the things are changing equations, and the fear factor is working a lot. Now, the question is, do all of us know the proper use of these preventive tools? So that remains a big question to be answered. Again, when we talk about the impact of the pandemic on the socio-economic state of the nation, you see, marginalized sections are the worst sufferers. the International Labour Organization and the Asian Development Bank, they conducted a joint survey this year, and they have come to the conclusion that in case of India, 4.1 million youths have been left jobless. Mostly affected sectors are the agricultural sector and the labor sector. And you see, in this regard, it's very interesting to note that the poor are the worst sufferers. We have seen that the migrant laborers, they suffered a lot of problems returning back home. And now when they have returned back home, finding no avenue of livelihood, they are again being forced to migrate to different states for the sake of their bread and butter. So how far was bringing them back a successful event? That still remains a big question. And in this regard, you see, I would like to draw your attention to Dryden's writing in Journal of the Plague Year. Here again, he discusses the condition of the poor, and I quote, he says, but it was impossible to make any impression upon the middling people and the working, laboring poor. The poor says, why, what must I do? I can't starve. I has as good have the plague as perish for want. It must be confessed that though the plague was chiefly among the poor, yet were the poor most venturous and fearless of it, and went about for employment as with a sort of brutal courage. So you can see it's 3-4 centuries that have passed in the meantime, but the condition of the poor remains the same. So this again is a very, very ironic finding. And you see this particular economic marginalization has resulted in different types of crimes. I'm not going to the details of it again due to the paucity of time. You see the concept of gender-based violence has increased, because what about people who are restricted to the space of the domestic, especially women, where, you know, the domestic is not a very safe and secure place. So maybe, you know, within that space, since all the family members are confined right now, they are finding it difficult when they have to suffer the challenge of domestic violence. So that again is a matter of concern. Now, I'm not going into the details of the impact on education sector, because, you know, since the span of last 2 days, I mean, yesterday and today, we have had several interesting papers in this regard. And you see, only thing I want to say is that virtual education is a good alternative, and all of us have been forced to almost get into this virtual platform of education because of COVID-19. But the question is, how far is it feasible? Because you see, the virtual aids are not available to all across the country, or say even globally. And also the question of virtual literacy, you know, lack of virtual literacy is a big issue of concern. So basically, you see, what as we continue to fight for survival, you know, even though the life seems to be in a state of unknowing, I would like to conclude my paper with the words of Tennyson, that we continue to strive to seek, to find, and not to yield. Thank you.
Thank you, madam. Thank you.
Thank you, Aditi. Thank you for taking us from the history of pandemic and to flow with us from plague to corona. And we are very much thankful to you to know, to inform us about the history of self-isolation as or quarantine, or the images of pandemic as you shown in the literature of English. As we think that corona or pandemic or quarantine is very much recent word, but you are there for enlightened us for the history of all these things. And thanks for the lucid presentations of Aditi Bandopadhyay, because she is not only giving us the images of the history, but also in a very recent period of corona, she enlightened us with the very recent problem as well as the multi-dimensional problem. She take us from the problem of migrant labor to the gender-based violation as well as the vaccine nationalism, which is very crucial at a time, because now we are all waiting for the vaccine, but there are some lobbies who are still working or thinking about how much they can make a vandalism for that. Thank you, Aditi Bandopadhyay.
Thank you, Koel. Thank you so much.
Now we are moving to our fourth presentation, and I would like to request Professor Mir Shahnawaz Ali, Department of Sociology, Birbhum Mahavidyalaya, for his presentation.
Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, our respected principal, sir, our speaker, and Madam Chairman. So I'll present a multimedia, have a multimedia presentation. Hope this works. Otherwise, because this is not a, I mean, till now this is not a paper. This is a working draft kind of thing, because I'm trying to think through what is going on. Is my presentation visible to you all?
Very much visible and audible.
Yes,
Uh,
you are visible. You are audible.
no, but my presentation, can you see?
Yes, your presentation is also. Your presentation is visible.
Mohua, just a minute. Just a minute. I want to talk, Professor Sanaz Ali, sir. Sir, please say about your title of the paper.
Yes, you can talk.
That is there in the presentation. Can you see it?
Yes, but what is the title of the presentation?
Yeah, the title of the presentation is Breakdown of Aesthetics, Migration and Amnesia, and Aesthetic Ontological Inquiry.
Breakdown.
But it is not visible now.
It is not visible.
No,
Not
it was
visible
visible
now.
now.
It is visible.
Yes.
Okay, okay.
Now
Then I have. Okay.
now it is closer.
It is visible to me, Mahua.
Okay, sir.
I could not hear Aditi's voice. I tried and tried and tried, but failed because
Okay.
as such there was a net problem. I interacted with people and some others, and somebody told me to leave the meeting and then again rejoin, and I did that, but still the problem exists. But here now it is okay. Now it is okay.
Yes, sir. I have also same problem of internet.
Yes, yes. Yes.
Okay, sir.
Ms. Sanaz Ali, sir, please go on.
Okay, thank you, sir, thank you.
With the permission of the chairperson, Madam Chairperson, obviously. I am not the.
Yes.
I am not an I am an ordinary person here. Please ask the permission of the chair, Madam Chairperson.
No, sir. No, sir.
Thank you.
With due permission from both chairperson and principal, I will like to request our next presenter, Ms. Sanaz Ali, for his presentation.
But last time, is my presentation visible? Because I can't see it in my screen.
Yes,
it was visible.
Yeah, okay. So I'll start with the first slide, which is Breakdown of Aesthetics, Migration and Amnesia, and Aesthetic Ontological Inquiry. So the first, this is not a real working paper right now. This is what I am working on. So this is a draft. So please take it that way. And I will try to add and deduct some arguments I have there, and I request all the audience to please come up with some suggestions.
Excuse me, just an announcement. I'm extremely sorry that I have said it was the last presentation. It was not, because we have yet another presentation by Professor Rima Laha. I'm extremely sorry for the
Okay. Shall continue. So I'll go to my first slide. Is this slide visible?
Yes.
Okay, so this is two pictures clicked by Amit Yadav of Press Trust of India. So this has been going on from the starting of the pandemic. There was a discussion that these people who suddenly saw in newspaper and news channels that we had no idea about existence of such people in our collective memory, because we didn't know, and that has been the discourse going. And where are these people coming from? There was an interview by Karan Thapar. He did a series of interviews based on that. Where are these people coming from? Because we had no idea. Government has no statistics on them. So there was a problem in the welfare distribution system also. So in a way, these were the invisible people who were made visible by this pandemic, because we suddenly were able to see that their distress and their problems of life. So this has been termed as a invisibilization to revisibilization of this cloud of people who suffered the most from this pandemic. But what I am arguing is that after these 2-3 months, there has been, now that we are into 6th or 7th month of the pandemic, there has been a re-invisibilization, that we don't see the discourse of migrants in the national media anymore. So why is that? Why are, for the first 2 months there was a lot of discussion about the migrants, and now there is no discussion about the migrants. So why is that? So that is what I am terming as a breakdown. So why this is a breakdown? I'll go to my second slide. This is in the background there is a picture by Jacob Lawrence, the famous American painter. This is his one of the paintings of the Migration series. So so I'd like to clear in this image, in this slide, that this is not really a presentation about the migrants, because we are not the sufferers. We are sitting in our rooms and presenting in our seminars. So we are not the sufferers. So they are the sufferers. So as Levinas, the famous philosopher Immanuel Levinas has pointed out, there is an ethical issue involved in talking about the people who are the victims by the people who are not the victims. So this is not really a presentation on the migrants, but this is, I'm taking this as an entry point to understand the current conglomeration of media and modernity in the recent global order. And in discussing modernity, I am taking cue from two people. One is the famous Frankfurt School theorist Theodore Adorno, and other is the my recent favorite philosopher, Jean Rossier. So I'll go to the next slide. So this is a episode. This is a clip from an episode of a famous British TV series, Yes Minister. This is the name of the episode is the Middle Class Ripoff. This is a 1982 TV series. I'll play the clip.
The principle of taking money away from the arts and putting it into things like football. A football club is a commercial operation. There is no cause for subsidizing it if it runs out of money.
Why not?
Why not?
Yes, why not? There's no difference between subsidizing football and subsidizing art, except that a lot more people are interested in football.
Our cultural heritage has to be preserved.
For who? For people like you. Me?
So this is a clip where the Minister of the Administrative Affairs and his secretary are debating that there should be, the subsidy should be based on, should be given to arts and culture and all that, and football should not be subsidized. That because that is patronized by the public and art is not consumed by the public. So that's why they need subsidy, because there are not enough people who consume arts or aesthetic things. But this was in 1892. So I'll go with the recent statistics that we came across. So this is a picture of the British Museum and this is the Wembley Stadium. So in 2018-19, the total number of visitors in British Museum was almost 6 million. So this has no precedence. Before that, I mean, even the museum authorities also announced that this is like a new beginning of a aesthetic regime that we are seeing, because people never used to visit museums that much, but now they are visiting. Football, like the episode mentioned, football has always was a crowd puller, but museum as a site was never so prominent. But as Lash and Uri would put it, this is the aesthetization of everyday life. So what do I mean by aesthetization of everyday life? I'll go to my next slide. So in this slide, you can see a book by the Politics of Aesthetics by Jean Rossier, The Economy and Finance Space by Scott Lash and John Uri. And this is an image of Facebook and the recent Oscar winner, Bong Joon-ho, who won the prize for the Korean movie Parasite. So if you look at the current discourse, you can see that the Korean movie has been touted as the next aesthetic revolution in Korea. And if you look at it, it is basically produced by the SoftBank, the biggest bank in Japan, SoftBank, which also invests in Flipkart and Amazon and things like that. The same company which is investing in like big corporates is also investing in films. Why is that? So Slash and Yuri, they say that what we are seeing is that everything is aesthetic now. Like this is a social pressure kind of, that everything has to be aesthetic, and the main chief example of that is Facebook, because in Facebook we have a profile and we have to make it beautiful and aesthetic somehow, so people like our profile. So there is the idea of like, there is the idea of share. So there is this peer pressure that has been built for everything to be beautiful and aesthetic. And the same reason, and the Oscar given to Bong Joon-ho was one example of that acknowledgement of this tendency that this is the capitalist tendency as we are seeing, because as Rossier had said, in Plato, you see that Plato said we need to banish the poets from this country because they distort things. They don't represent the original. And Rossier is intervening he intervened 20 years ago, and he said Plato was right in a way, because the mode of representation is different in this century than the previous century. And here we join the both two thinkers, Rossier and Adorno, because Adorno has a criticism at modernity, and Rossier goes one step further and says that this is not modernity. As the modernity is a wrong word to understand the late 18th century progress worldwide. This is actually an aesthetic revolution. And why aesthetic? Because this was the time from the Cartier-Bresson photographs and all that, we had a sense of the public. We started seeing imagery of huge crowds. Before that, there were no crowds. Before that, there was a paintings of the kings and the queens, only that. But after that, with the photograph, then there started a imagery of the crowd. We started looking at the imagery of the crowd, and so the democracy, the public, and the aesthetic started at the same time. And this aesthetic has been taken over by corporates in the recent decade, as pointed out by economy of science and space. So they have a very good examples of why is that. So if you see the current car companies, the biggest car companies in the world, BMW, Audi, they don't make the cars, they just make the design. That's what they do in their office. That's a basically R&D office. The car is made by some other part in India, in Bangladesh, in China. They just make the design. So aesthetics is the moot point of this civilization. Sorry, I have 2-3 slides. I'll just go fast and fast. Time is running out, I see. So then I'll come to Adorno. Adorno has, because Adorno will lead me to my conclusion. So I'll have a slide of Adorno. According to Adorno, that we have a certain sense of consuming things. Like we consume certain things and we don't consume certain things. What Adorno means by that is our students will know, I guess, and a lot of people, that when we are sad, we listen to sad songs. There are a lot of collections, CD collections, which are called sad song collections. So what Adorno is arguing, that when you are sad and you are listening to sad songs, that doesn't lead you to anything greater than yourself. And that is not what is art supposed to do. Art is supposed to take you to newer ideas, newer feelings, and we are not getting that. If you do something and if you think you're sad and you listen to sad song, that won't happen. So the idea of art is to take you to new ideas, new concepts. So that is not is what is happening. That is Adorno's critique. So I guess this will be the last slide. So to make you understand what Adorno means by this thing, this is what is art and what is not art, I have two sound clips. One is from Igor Stravinsky's Petrushka. This is one of his operas. So I'll play 30 seconds from that. So this is Igor Stravinsky's Petrushka. Now I'll play Schoenberg's Concerto Opus 42. This is composed in 1942. Okay, so this goes on and on. So if you listen to the first track by Stravinsky's Petrushka, you see there is a very jolly, happy, jovial kind of ambience that it is trying to create. And if you listen to Schoenberg's Concerto 42, you see there is like rather a bleak ambient that is trying to create. And Adorno says that this was the task of French Revolution, or even said by Dr. Ambedkar in his Constituent Assembly speech, that by independence, when we are saying that we have got independence, it doesn't mean that we are living in a utopian world. It means that we now have the means to achieve our goal. So even for French Revolution or for an Indian independence or an American independence, it is the means that we have now. So we have to achieve our goal. We have to strive for that. It's not already given. And for Adorno, Stravinsky is this jolly, feel-good, happy kind of imagery that hides that conflict that is in there in our society. So everything is like, there is a song in the Lego movie, like everything is awesome, everything is cool, everything is fine. So that is the kind of, and Adorno says, so we have to go back to Schoenberg, after World War One started composing this bleak kind of music, because that was the demand of the time. Like same with this COVID, like so like Brecht said, will there be singing in the dark times? Yes, there will be singing, but of the dark times. So that's the kind of idea of art he was proposing. So I guess this is it. I am not able to, I guess I didn't sum up quite well, but this is just a working draft. So thank you. Like it will need more work, and I am looking forward to suggestions. Thank you.
Thank you
very much. Actually, it was a multimedia presentation,
yes.
And thank you for adding a new feather in the webinar, because you not only give a presentation, but also make us feel that endeavor that you have personally feel to make this presentation possible. Thank you for making us aware about the dynamic concept of aesthetic as well as the dynamic concept of music. And it was my very personal opinion that it was somewhere in the geography, there are some person who have worked with the musical journey of geography, because whenever we listen a song, that was not only a song written by a poet, because that is the actual socio-economic as well as the cultural structure of that particular time, because they reflect not only the musical journey but also the societal and cultural journey of the person who written and also of the person who gave music to that song. Thank you, Meet. And now I will move to our chairperson for her patientful listening of the presentation section, and we will like to request Madam to share your experience about our. For extremely sorry, we have another presentation.
Another presentation, yes. Rima Laha.
May I request Professor Rima Laha of Katua College and for her presentation. Extremely sorry, ma'am. It was, pardon me, please, for these inconvenience. Now it's time for Rima Laha for her presentation.
Good afternoon. Hello.
Ma'am, you are not audible.
Am I?
No, ma'am, your sound is not clear.
Audible?
No, your sound is not clear.
Am I audible?
Please make yourself unmute for a while. Please, madam, make yourself for a while unmute so that your voice can be audible.
Audible, ma'am?
Please, ma'am, make yourself unmute for a while. You are muting yourself again and again. Madam, unmute yourself.
Am I audible?
No.
Madam, unmute yourself. Madam Rima Laha, please unmute yourself. I'm sorry for the inconvenience.
Good afternoon, everyone.
I'm sorry for the technological discrepancies. Please put down for a while.
Well, I think there is some technical shortage. That's why Professor Rima can't audible and visible.
Yes, madam. There is some technological problem.
Please try to connect her.
Yes, ma'am. Madam, can you please left and then rejoin? Madam Rima Laha. I think she is trying. She's left the meeting and we are trying to rejoin to cope up with the problem. Now she is there.
Am I audible, ma'am?
Yes, you are very much audible.
Yes.
Start the presentation. Madam, please make your video on so that we can see you. Hello?
Am I audible?
Yes. Yes.
I am Rima Laha. I am much thankful to the organizers for providing me some scope. Now I'm presenting my paper entitled Socio-Economic Impact of Lockdown Against COVID-19 on Common People of India and the Possible Revival Strategies. The impact of pandemic in India has been on several fronts. The impact of lockdown on marginalized sections is largely disruptive nationwide and has affected all segments of society. During the current pandemic, the economic downturn has greatly affected people from the lower socio-economic stratum. The economic impact of this pandemic is likely to be more severe in India in the following manners, such as increase in poverty, worsening of socio-economic inequalities, the nutrition indices, and compromise in health-related predictions. The social fabric of India thrives on economic conditions. Sharp rise in unemployment, strain on supply chains, decrease in government income, collapse of the tourism industry and hospitality, reducing commodities, plunge in the negative effect of lockdown. Major goods companies in India have significant and are focusing young startups. Social stress caused by lockdown has many faces and resulting in disruption of cultural regular immunity is anxiety and fear among the population. The pandemic has changed the world, such as the socializing with friends and family, the rapid shortage of medicine, mainly poor people have been isolated totally. Millions lost their economic impact very disturbing. The outbreak of is an unprecedented shock to the Indian economy. With the prolonged countrywide lockdown, global economic downturn is happening. The economy is likely to face a protracted period of slowdown. The magnitude of the economic impact depends upon the duration and severity of the health crisis. The multi-phase lockdown imposed to curb its spread have resulted in a devastating blow to the Indian economy. The impact of lockdown on the most vulnerable population in rural and urban areas offers society migrant workers, women workers, the urban poor and daily wage earners, tribal communities and agricultural men and women are deep and far-reaching. For many living on the fringe, public health care services are often inaccessible. Many unique health challenges are posed by the pandemic. The lockdown also has affected the global home textile buying and consumption patterns. GDP growth slows down. Nowadays, the world as well as Indian economy is passing through a very serious crisis due to the sudden outbreak of pandemic. To boost Indian economy, many actions are taken by the Indian government. The government of India announced a variety of measures to tackle the situation, from food security and extra funds for health care and for the states. Policies that have been announced so far by the central government and the Reserve Bank of India to ameliorate the economic shock have put forward a set of policy recommendations for specific use and impact and COVID-19 on 4, PM announced extension of PMGKAY Garib Kalyan Anna Yojana, under which food grains are being provided to the poor. The expansion of the PM Kisan scheme, which directly transfers money to farmers in a targeted way, is really fruitful. In this way, the possible revival strategies are done. The government took some courageous steps to deal with the socio-economic problems, such as Arogya Setu app, Ayush Mantralaya guidelines, One Nation, One Ration Card, Atmanirbhar Bharat Abhijan, etc. Nationwide lockdown is a preventive measure against the pandemic in India. The COVID-19 does not only affect economically, but a situation of socio-economic crisis and profound psychological distress rapidly occurred. COVID-19 and its spread has occurred in a widespread change in the common lifestyle of people, and all are waiting for a bright result. Thank you all.
Thank you, madam. Will you please introduce yourself, because there was sound problem there, so I can't introduce yourself. Please, madam, make yourself introduce. here is again a problem. Thank you, madam, for your vast research, and thank you, Mohuadi, for the compensation of the slides accordingly with madam's audio, because she is unable for the video. And now we are at the
Thank you.
now we are at
Thank you, Koel.
the end portion of the presentation section, and it was time for our chairman's version of our experience about our interaction process. Over to you, madam. Please share your experiences about the interactions and presentations of the participants.
Thank you, Koel, and thank you, convener. So now this is a time for interaction. If we invite any question for against 4 participants, anybody can, any question? Audience from any question? I think there is no question. So firstly, I want to convey my thankful and gratitude to all of the paper presenters for their nicely present paper. Firstly, Najma Nahar and Dr. Jafar Ali Khan discuss about the role of IT sector for sustainable rural development in India existing socio-economic environment. In this paper, Najma Nahar emphasis over the information and communication technology, different types of digital platform to access information, especially smart village application, internet Sathi program, wireless women for entrepreneurship and empowerment, challenges for IT sector in rural areas, particularly literacy, technology, internet speed problem, poverty, lack of awareness, language dimension, etc., etc. They mainly emphasize that in this pandemic situation, particularly for COVID-19, rural villagers are totally helpless. IT sector, ICT can't provide all of the situation, particularly literacy. So they face so many problems. Now, second presenter was Professor Aditi Bandyopadhyay. She very nicely present pandemics and society, analyzing the COVID-19 crisis and its socio-cultural impact. Professor Bandyopadhyay discussed about different pandemic situation in world from very beginning times, 1665 plague to recent COVID-19 situation, and she elaborate very nicely all the situation, and in the time of 1665, sometimes of literature and journal, the situation of what was the situation of plague. Actually, that time social distancing were written, black death condition was written at that time, and she nicely complete all of her deliberation, and especially healthcare provider is very good challenges according to her, challenges to us, unplanned lockdown, and Italy, obviously people are losing their job. Our virtual education is a good alternative, but not for the villagers, and it is a very big issue nowadays. So Professor Aditi Bandyopadhyay very nicely raised some issues over all of us. Now third presenter was Professor Mir Shahnaz Ali. Shahnaz Ali tried to present breakdown of aesthetics, migration and amnesia. Mr. Shahnaz, some snaps present there to discuss about invisibilization to devisibilization, victimization in the recent migrant necessitated by the COVID-19 situation, and she discussed about some music therapy in the sad time, and I think this is his full, not a food paper, is under processing. That's why I think he will complete his presentation. Now lastly present Professor Rima Laha, Katwa College. According to socio-economic impact of lockdown against COVID-19 on common people. Though this was a connection was very low, I can't understand more of the time, but some time I think Rima was want to discuss about impact of lockdown, effect of a lower social informal sector. uh, Lockdown increases poverty, health related problem, unemployment, and loss of their economy. This is a very vividly magnitude for their socio-economic life and economic impact uh, uh, depend upon the duration of our recent COVID situation. So these four presenter discuss very nicely of their opinion, and I also thankful all of them on behalf of the organization. And lastly, I convey my gratitude to Principal Sir, Convener Sir, IQAC members, and all of the members of the Birbhum Mahavidyalaya, and my resource person and all the delegates and dignitaries present here. Thank you, and I offer to microphone to Mohua, Madam Convener.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, Manduridi. Thank you for your presence. Thank you for your valuable comments, and thank you for your cooperation for our interaction process in the webinar. And now I will like to request Professor Sushanta Kumar Borthon, as I see him in all our web program, wherever is concerned, he is always from the starting to the ending point is with us. So I will like to request Professor Borthon, sir, to share his experience about these 2 days national webinar, so that will make encouragement for us for the future programs, and as well as that was inspirations for us too. Sir, Professor Borthon, sir, please say something about our webinar.
Respected principal, respected convener, and other persons, other teachers who are involved with this program. But the point is that I have been requested by Mohua Madam, but I don't know how to express my points. But the thing is that the issue is basically has been addressed from different angles, from the socio-economic, from the cultural, from the literary aspects. This seminar actually has tried its level best. That means all the participants, all the resource persons have tried to look at the issues which are affecting our lives in our day-to-day life, and also academic part of that one. That we are concerned with that too much. All the teachers, all the participants, we are basically concerned with the academic aspects or the future of our students. That is very interesting part. That is a positive part of this seminar, because ultimately we the teachers, we the persons who are involved in the academic system, our main concern is the students, because their future, their life, it is our topmost priority. We should try to put in our day-to-day activities. So from that aspect, this seminar is very helpful, and I have listened to almost all the lectures with my utmost sincerity, and I have enriched myself from this discussion from the beginning. Actually, I started attending this one from the beginning, the inaugural part, to the end of this one now. My sincere gratitude to Birbhum Mahavidyalaya IQAC, and Birbhum Mahavidyalaya especially, and totally in this aspect that you are trying your best to incorporate these academic activities within your within the capacity of yours. That is very encouraging for us, and I am a person who is on the receiving end, not the contributing end. I am not contributing anything, but I am listening to that so that I can enrich myself. And almost my another very interesting point is that the students, we are concerned with the students' problem, and that should be taken care of by us at any cost, because they sometimes we find that the students of this region, that means the Birbhum, you'll find that most of the students are basically very obedient. They do not raise their voice. They have the problem, they have the anxieties, but they do not share that with us. Most of the time, sometimes they pray, but normally when those prayers are not accepted by us, they do not raise their voice. Mostly, almost all the students are basically obedient. So my feeling is that we should try to address their problems, if not possible through online lectures. If it's possible, we can also talk to them over phone or any way, because ultimately they are the persons, they are the students. These are the students who are at the center of our attraction, and for them we have been engaged. I feel that we are engaged. We have been engaged in the academic world, in this arena of within the academic field for them. So we should try to give primary importance to their demands, to their needs. And another very interesting point is that what I have felt throughout for the several days, because when I am taking classes, I find that basically you can say that 25% students, they are not attending the classes, maybe because of the internet, because of some intel, and we are trying our level best to trace that. But problem is that because of the you need the help of the institution also. This is not the individual teacher can do something. Individual teacher will take the initiative, but at the same time, it is the institution's effort. It is the institution which can come forward to help that individual teacher, so that he or she can connect with the students. That is the problem I am facing nowadays. So my on point is that thank you for conducting this webinar and asking me to be the part of this one. Thank you all. It's my humble regards to all of you. Thank you.
Koel? Koel, are you here? Thank you, Sushantada, for your nice feedback deliberation. So it is a good thing for us. So you are present in all the sessions from 25th and 26th August. We hope that you now also remain in the valedictory session also. So please present with us. Koel, you have joined. So
Mohadi,
hand over to Koel. Yes, Bolo.
Koel just called. She had a problem of network.
Okay. Then Mir will conduct the session. So Mir, you can continue.
Okay. Thank you, Dr. Mohammed Sen. So we have reached the concluding session of this our 2-day national level seminar, and we keep going back to Bakhtin because for Bakhtin, living was like a dialogue, and life is a dialogue, and living is like participating in that dialogue. And for the last 2 days, what we have been trying our college, Birbhum Mahavidyalaya, is to think through this crisis, this COVID crisis, what it means for us, what's the future holding for us, all this. I hope that we have somehow able to do some justice to the topic and contributed in some ways to our society by putting on this endeavor. Now, for this valedictory session, first I would like to invite Professor Parvati Nondi. She was a retired professor of Vishwabharati University Geography Department.
I am interrupting Mir.
Yeah.
Please ask first if any other feedback, if you, any can wish to give any feedback from their end. So please first ask and then you start the valedictory. Okay.
Okay, so because this will be the concluding session of our 2-day national level seminar, I ask everyone present if they want to contribute something, they want to tell something to this august audience. Does anyone have any thought on this webinar at this moment? Okay, I don't see any thought coming at this moment, I guess, Mohammadi. So I'll go back to Professor Parvati Nondi. Over to you, ma'am, Professor Parvati Nondi, for the valedictory speech. Hello? Professor Nondi? Hello?
Hello, Professor Nandi.
I think
you are requested to.
Okay, she has left. So I guess there is a technical problem.
I guess there is some technical problem.
Technical problem is there. Technical problem happens, Mahua.
Yes, sir.
In my case also, I faced several problems.
Sir, I also faced. So you can ask principal sir. You can ask to principal sir.
Okay, so
no, Parvati is here. Parvati Nandi, Professor Parvati Nandi is here. She has entered.
Okay.
Okay. She has entered.
Okay.
So I request Professor Parvati Nondi to proceed with her valedictory address to this august audience, please. It seems ma'am has left again. I think there is technical difficulty. We are living in a technical world, technocratic world. So all the problems we face here are bound to be technical. So we have to manage that, I guess.
You should bear with us.
Yeah.
Extremely sorry for leaving the program in the mid of the way because there is some network issue as we all faces here. So please pardon convener madam for the midway leaving of the program. Extremely sorry for that.
No, well, it is okay. We know all that we are facing the technical problem, we are facing the internet problem. I am also fourth session in the, entering in the fourth session, I am facing also same problem. So this is, we have to bear. So Didi has joined.
I think sir had tried to say something for a little bit while I'm seeing her with audio is but that is not clear. And he's also facing the same problem.
So should we proceed? Professor Parvati Nondi, can you hear us? I request you to please unmute your microphone. Well, we keep facing this. This is
yes.
The circle of life is now technocratic circle of life. Joining and rejoining and rejoining.
Yes.
It was not up to our vocabulary how much smart. It was depends on how much data and fast data we have to communicate it with ourselves.
As I say, this is the data is the new petrol. So,
definitely.
Yeah. In the meantime, I would try to, is Dr. B.R.K. Sinha present?
The Parvati, the Professor Parvati Nandi has joined me.
Yeah, sir. I think. Professor Nandi, can you hear us?
Hello.
Yeah, yeah,
Hello.
yes, Professor Nandi, you are audible, please.
Yes, yes.
ma'am.
Now I am audible.
Yeah, you are
Yes.
audible. Please.
হ্যাঁ বৌমা শুনতে পাচ্ছিস?
Yes, yes, ma'am. You are
Yes.
audible. You are audible.
Yes, yes. Now I am very much thankful to the organizers of Birbhum Mahavidyalaya to invite me in this valedictory session, and I have listened to the opinions and suggestions given by the erudite speakers on the main theme of the webinar, that is on the impact of COVID on the socio-economic issues. Now, I would like to concentrate some of the opinions of the keynote speakers. First of all, today's Professor Sharbajit Sengupta, he has spoken on the economic view, from his economic viewpoint, that redistribution of resources is the way out of this pandemic situation, and with that he has talked about the increasing money in hands of the poor, which is very important. Secondly, Professor Bimal Kaur, with the display of huge data, Professor Kaur has given an overview of the pandemic situation in the world and then in India as a whole, and special impact on education, which is positive, and negative impacts have also been discussed by him. And in the afternoon session, Dr. Prevangshu Chakraborty, he mentioned about the role of geographers who can help in the formation of data bank with the GIS technology. He has spoken in connection with the poverty and welfare situation. Now, the impact of this pandemic issues is very much like an emergency situation in our country, and the situation will vary from country to country. On the whole, it will increase poverty, inequality at a global scale, and it is affecting the societies and the economies at their core, and as a result, the sustainable development goals will be affected. Now, the nationwide lockdown has imposed in India. It has resulted in financial losses, and it has affected all segments of our society. And the effect on health, healthcare, nutrition could possibly pose more setbacks, and industry, including formal and informal sector, they suffered a lot. And the pandemic of COVID-19 has necessitated the need for attention to the marginalized and undeserved population politically. And to prevent the long-lasting adverse health outcomes, economic stresses on the whole population will need mitigation and quick changes in the policy. Finally, the national health program must be revitalized and strengthened. Now, it is a difficult time for all of us. Economic activity is hardly hit, and there is a fall in the GDP, and there is deep recession this year, and there is no reason to despair. We have some needs, and that needs and attention has to be given properly. Some of the needs I can mention one by one. There is a need of a quick COVID-19 test. Then there is intensive tracking of the citizens, maintain social distances, wearing masks, then wash hands frequently, then web classes, rigorous quarantine, rapid antibody tests. The administrative structure must be efficient, and there are a lot more. Now, large number of issues still remain to be addressed, and for that, I am looking forward to another webinar which may be organized in the near future. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am, for your kind words and your insights to the problem of this webinar. Our next speaker is Professor Brajraj Kumar Sinha. He is the professor of the Banaras Hindu University Department of Geography. He has an illustrious and prolific career as an academic and researcher. He has many national and international publications. He is part of the editorial board of more than 2 international journals. So would not waste any more time. I would request Professor Bajraj Kumar Sinha to deliver her valedictory speech.
Me, first of all, I like to welcome sir. Welcome sir to our webinar, and we are really grateful to you for joining you in the valedictory session. So, okay sir, please continue.
Hello?
Yes sir, you are audible.
Hello? I am rejoining. I am rejoining.
Okay sir, okay.
Well,
please wait.
Yeah, we have to wait. Just wait a couple of seconds.
Okay, sir.
Will join. Yeah, okay, sir.
There was one call from outside, so that's why I have rejoined. So thank you very much. Just inviting me to join at the time of valedictory session. And first of all, I would like to congratulate the convener and her assistants, or maybe so many persons in the college. So I congratulate everyone for a good topic, selecting a good topic, as well as for inviting so many persons. So really I am very happy to know about this. However, I am not so much well versed on the online, but since she invited the convener who was saying that, sir, please you join for few minutes. So actually just I have returned from my department after attending one meeting. So anyway, this is a very important event, particularly at the juncture when we are facing entirely, this was unexpected situation. Nobody in the life expected that such event would come out, but we have to face, we have to adjust, and we have to try our level best how to overcome this situation in India as well as in South Asian countries plus the other countries in the world, because this is not a local situation. This is a pandemic. This is worldwide, and when we just have some idea, then really it is very horrible situation. So due to pandemic, there has been a spread of epidemics that has affected so many persons. Whatever the number we have in India or in other countries of the world that is reported officially, but I think there will be more than that because many cases are not reported. So very important event we are crossing, and really it is very dangerous situation, particularly to the health of the people, and so many human life are lost due to such a pandemic situations. And when we look at a picture, then I do not have exact number country-wise, but I know that first of all, we came to watch the TV for listening the news. So in the beginning, European countries suffered a lot, and among that also particularly, the Italy and Spain have been the most sufferer countries in Europe. However, nowadays the situation is to some extent better because the cases has continued to decline. But in other developing countries, situation is not good at present. Still it is rising. When we look at the picture in context of India in our country, so you know every day the news that still the number of cases is increasing. So we should hope for the best, but I hope that it will take time, and it depends on the management, that is basically the self-management. We have to follow the guidelines by the given by laid down by the government, central government of India. I was listening about the Professor Parvati Nandi. She has been my senior colleagues earlier, so my thanks goes to her also, and she says that how to control and the situation so that we can save our life. So everybody nowadays knows, even a child also knows how to protect. So uh, I think there is no medicine till today, but only thing is, it is just up to the individual persons how to protect each and every person at individual level. Mask is very important. Without mask, we are not safe. In the house, we can remain without mask, but when we are just out of door, it is very essential device. Now we have to use it always. Then we have to follow the sanitization also. Even in remaining in the house, we must try to wash our hand, sanitize twice, thrice, 4 times in a day frequently. So we have to wash our hands at least for the 20 seconds as it is suggested. Except this also, we have to maintain the social distancing. But I know that in India, the people do not try to listen and follow the guidelines. I have just visited 1 or 2 days in a month just for medicine purpose in the market, but the people mentality is not appreciable. Everybody will be just in the mood of running first to the shop, and nobody is thinking how to maintain the social distancing. Even I had discussed with some customers, why don't you listen? Are you standing before me? Is it 3 feet or 4 feet distance? No, no, sir, but it is Banaras. What do you mean by Banaras? Banarsi are immune? No one will be affected. So this kind of situation is creating further problems. So we must listen, we must follow the guidelines, we must use the devices, we must follow everything. And that is the only way how to protect ourselves. So if we can keep ourselves aloof from other persons in the society, I think that is the best medicines. So this is just it need not to explain, everybody knows nowadays. So situation at the global level is very bad in situation, and nowadays when we see the recent picture of the June, then European country has started declining, but Russia, Brazil, America, or even India and Mexico. So these countries are just ahead of so many other countries of the world. But when we look at another aspect, then we can say that most of the developed countries have suffered much more earlier, and still it is suffering. So it is related with so many other aspects also. We can say that this is due to pandemic, that is corona COVID-19. So many aspects, or we can say that every aspect of an individual has been affected or being affected, and in future will also be affected. it has caused so much poverty among the society in all the countries of the world. And the poverty level has already been increased. So many numbers, if we can see in context of India, then we have already have the experience that so many labor, that is the manpower, human resources moved from their work to their home, and they suffered, and even they have lost their life also. So poverty has been one of the dimensions that has been caused very seriously by the COVID-19. Similarly, when we look into the gender inequality, this has also been disturbed. When we take one example, that most of the women are working in non-formal sectors and they have lost their employment opportunity. So that is why this has caused the gender inequality. Now it has become gender disequality. Education, we know that most of the educational institutions in the country and in other countries of the world too have already been closed, and no student is attending the school, no colleges, university, all the educational institutions. So there has been a great loss at the part of the development of human resources in various sectors. Similarly, social protection, as I said, social protection has also been in danger situation. This aspect is also very vital, and we have to look into this in very details. Similarly, that is another aspect is for the displaced people. Those who belong to the poor socio-economic conditions, uh, they have lost their job, as well as they are displaced also. There is no management, there is no provisions exact or the adequate provisions or facilities to adjust them. So this has also caused, and this has been as one of the great wearing on the displaced people. Slum dwellers particularly, they are the poor in the urban sectors, and we know about the largest slum dwellers in Mumbai, where cases was at very high level. Nowadays, it is to some extent relaxed. So most of the slum peoples in different countries have suffered a lot, and exactly there is no picture how many persons. So these are the dimensions, and also like regarding the jobs, either the government jobs or the private jobs. So basically, those who were in private jobs, they have lost their job opportunities, they return to their home, and now they are in much more difficult situation economically, particularly, and they are facing a lot of problems. Similarly, remittances. This has remittance dimension in the society has also been affected. So remittance coming from the foreign country to India or to other countries from different countries that has also been affected due to loss of the manpower at the factory, at the in the industrial sectors, even in the agricultural sectors. Particularly in Indian context, we know that still India is dominated by the agricultural sectors. So our agriculture sector is the only source from where the food is supplied. So that has also been affected. So there has been a threat to the food security. Also, many persons in our country or in other countries of the world also died due to the hunger without food. So trade has also been very much affected. And commodity supply, that is health infrastructure, so health facilities, similarly food related services, and lastly also the tourism has also badly affected in most of the countries of the world, which has been the source of the money that become helpful for the government, for the individuals, for the for the persons who are engaged in trade and commercial activity. So a lot of things have been, we can say, we have to lost so many things. So these are the major dimensions, that the poverty, gender inequality, education, social protection, IDPs, slum dwellers, and the jobs, remittances, trade, commodities, food insecurity, and tourism, and so many other unlisted activities have been affected. So really we are passing through very critical situation, and I hope that if we can follow the proper guidelines, we can have the patience, we can think positively, we can work honestly with sincerity, punctuality. I think we would be able to come in near future to overcome these situations. So once again, I thank you everyone, those who are online, they are joined. So from my side, I congratulate them, and thank you also to everyone, and particularly the thank you to the principal of the college, the convener or the organizing secretaries, and those who are directly or indirectly engaged in managing such a big event that is on webinar. So thank you very much to all of you.
Thank you, Professor Sinha. Yes, sir, Principal, sir. Yes.
No, thank you, thank you. Yes, please go on, go on.
Okay,
go
sir.
on.
Thank you, Professor Sinha,
Thank
for
you, sir. Thank you, sir.
wise insights and useful advices in these Dickensian times, where it is the worst of times, it is the best of times. Thank you very much. And now we have reached the last two speeches of this concluding session. Now I'd like to invite the person without whom none of this would have been possible, the source of all our energies and the inspiration for all our endeavors, Professor Dr. Partho Sarathi Mukhopadhyay, the principal of Birbhum Mahavidyalaya and the chairman of IQAC. Over to you, sir. Principal, sir.
Okay, thank you very much. Miss Sana Jali, do you hear me?
Yes, sir. Yes, you are audible. Yeah, but you are not visible.
Yeah, visible. Okay. Okay.
Sir, please. Yes, sir.
Now
it is okay.
Okay, okay. Professor Brajraj Kumar Sinha.
Good afternoon, sir. Thank you very
Good
much.
afternoon, sir. After a long time, I am meeting you. How are you? Very good. Thank you, thank you.
I am just recognizing your face. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Professor Brajraj Kumar Sinha, Professor Parvati Nandi, Dr. Mohua Sen, convener of IQAC, Mir Savna Jali, who is conducting this particular session, Dr. Koel Pal, and other members of the teaching and non-teaching fraternity, other distinguished participants from several parts of the country as well as of the state, and my dear students. I congratulate everyone who has taken part to make this webinar a grand success, and our IQAC thought that it is our social duty to throw some light on the current issue or current problem of the society, impact of COVID-19 in the existing socio-economic environment. And we are extremely thankful to all the honorable speakers, particularly the chief guest of the program, the Professor Ashish Panigrahi, Pro Vice Chancellor of the University of Burdwan, Professor N.C. Jana, who has delivered the keynote address yesterday, Sri Arunoday Mojumdar, Professor Sarbojit Sengupta, Professor Maloy Mukhopadhyay, Professor Bimal Kumar Kaur, Professor Premanshu Chakraborty, and others also, and there were also some paper presenters whose papers enlightened us very much. Practically, an education institution is the product of a society. And after listening to the illuminating speech of Brajraj Kumar Sinha, I have reminded of a practical statement of my Gurudeva, Swami Ranganathananda, the 13th president of Ramakrishna Mission and Ramakrishna Math, that it is the duty of every educational institution to serve the society. And he has told us that you should work even with the view to ensure the stability of human society. Suppose you have no desires of your own, you are free, you don't need to work at all, still you must work because there are others who are in need. You are there to help. That is called Loko Samgraha, ensuring the stability of the human society. It is a wonderful concept of the Gita, the ethics of Loko Sangraha, welfare of the world. A sense of masterliness is manifested there. And after listening to the beautiful illuminating speech of Professor Brajraj Kumar Sinha and Professor Parvati Nandi, I remind of this beautiful statement of my Gurudeva that what have we done? Every effort that we have done is for the welfare of the society, is for the welfare of the students, is for the welfare of the mankind. Our honorable speakers thought something for COVID-19, for the welfare of this society. How shall we come across this difficulty? Our paper presenters also presented their own views after carrying the COVID pandemic from their different point of view. Our main attention is the welfare of the society, and I think that we have come across to a particular solution, and I shall be happy to see all the papers in a printed form, and we have prepared all the program in a YouTube forum, and later on, if our college permits, we shall be able to publish it in a book. So we shall be able to open the book before the academic fraternity of the world. And with these words, I convey my sincere thanks to my governing body, to my president of the governing body, to the other dignified members of the governing body, to the teachers council, to the members of the teachers council, to the members of the non-teaching fraternity, to the members of the students union, and practically to the members of all general students of the college. And I also congratulate the other members of the academic fraternity, particularly Dr. Sushant Kumar Vardhan, my younger brother, who was present from the first to the last session, Dr. Kaushik Kumar Datta, the government nominee to the governing body of my college, and every participant who has taken part actively from different corners of the state, from different corners of the country. And I also congratulate the persons who are maintaining this technical formality. Practically, my assistant, Sri Subrata Datta, and actually who has taken an utmost care in making this webinar a grand success. I also specially congratulate Dr. Mahua Sen, the convener of IQAC of our college, and other members of IQAC. Practically, Mahua has passed several nights, sleepless nights, and she has taken the several initiative to make our webinar a grand success, and I convey my best wishes to all of you. Thank you.
Thank you, Principal Sir, for timeless insights that if you don't have to work for your own, work for others. Excellent advices from our Principal Sir. Now I request Dr. Mahua Sen, whose tireless effort for last 2-3 months has culminated in these 3-4 seminars that we had in our college. So I request Dr. Mahua Sen for the vote of thanks. And after that, there will be the national anthem will be played by some of our students, and so we request you all to please pay your respect when the national anthem is played. Thank you. Over to you, Dr. Sen.
Thank you, Mir. Thank you, Principal Sir. And thank you, my teacher, Rajrazda and Parvati. It is my great pleasure to deliver the vote of thanks of today's national webinar, Impact of COVID-19 on the existing socio-economic environment 2020. First of all, I convey my sincere gratitude and thank to our principal sir, Professor Dr. Partho Sarathy Mukhopadhyay, for inspiring us to host this type of webinar and in this pandemic situation. My sincere gratitude and regards to my teacher and philosopher and guide, Professor Brojraj Kumar Sinha sir and Professor Parvati Nandi madam for her kind consent to with us in the valedictory session. I sincerely thank for our chief guest, Professor Ashish Panigrahi, Pro Vice Chancellor, Bardor University, for kindly accepting our invitation and gracing the inaugural session to be the chief guest and inaugurate our webinar and deliver his inaugural speech. I am thankful to Professor N.C. Jana sir for delivering keynote address and gracing the webinar. I thank all the respected speakers for their illuminating speech, like Premanshu Chakraborty sir, Professor Arunodoy Mojumdar sir, Professor Sarbojit Sengupta sir, and Professor Bimal Kumar Kaur sir. So I am really grateful to all the speakers for their informative and detailed thoughts to delivering in our webinar. I am very much thankful to the Finance Committee member for their financial support in this webinar. I take this opportunity to thank all the members of the IQAC, Teachers Council member, Students Council for support this webinar. I also thank Professor Kunjori Sarkar Basu for chairing the paper presentation session. I must acknowledge the technical support received from Sri Subroto Datta, technical man of the Birbhum Mahavidyalaya. He is assisted me in such a way that this webinar is a grand success. My thanks also go to all the participants for their enthusiastic participation. I must thank to the students who presented inaugural song and the closing song with a robust way. We got all total 8 paper presentation to present their thoughts. I really thankful to Mohammad Tawshif Ahmed to delivering vote of thanks in the third session of the webinar. He is an alumni member of the Internal Quality Assurance Cell, Birbhum Mahavidyalaya. And all the paper presenters, Mrs. Ramaya from Kerala, and Pia Sinha, Aditi Bandyopadhyay, Mir Shahanaz Ali, Rima Laha, Najmun Nahar, Tripti Das, and the Prosenjit Khan, all I really thankful to you to present your thoughts in this webinar as a paper presenter. I thankful to the moderators of this webinar, the chief moderator, Aditi Bandyopadhyay, Professor Aditi Bandyopadhyay, and Professor Mir Shahanaz Ali, and the co-moderator, Dr. Indra Kumar Mistry Mistry Sir, and Koel Pal and Pia Sinha. And also, Indra Kumar Mistry is the treasurer of this webinar. So, I again thanks to all the participants and who are directly or indirectly in this webinar. They are associated with this webinar. I convey my sincere thank and gratitude and I convey my regards to all sir and madam for make this webinar a grand success. So I thank you, sir, principal sir, for your kind words to me. It is not so. If you are not behind me, then it is not possible to me to organize such a webinar. So I am really thankful to you, and my regards, sincere regards to you, because you are behind me and inspire me in the all spheres of this webinar session. So in our 2 days national level webinar, 25th and 26th August 2020 is a grand success. So thank you, sir. Thank you, principal sir. And sir, sir, my teacher, আমার প্রণাম নেবেন স্যার, আমার প্রণাম নেবেন।
বেস্ট উইশেস, ভালো থেকো।
আমার দিদি আমার প্রণাম নেবেন, আমাদের প্রিন্সিপাল স্যার আমার প্রণাম নেবেন।
না, ভালো 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 থেকো, তুমি ভালোবাসা নিও, শুভেচ্ছা রইল।
এই বলে আমি with this I conclude my vote of thanks of the national webinar. So I over to me.
Thank you, Dr. Sen. So now few of our students will play the national anthem of our country. So I request everyone else to turn off their cameras and maintain the decorum and pay respect when the national anthem is played. So over to our students. Thank you. And please turn off your cameras, everyone else.
पंजाब सिंध गुजरात मराठा द्राविड उत्कल बंगा विंध्य हिमाचल यमुना गंगा जल जलधि तरंगा तब शुभ नामे जागे तब शुभ आशीष मांगे गाहे तब जय गाथा जनगण मंगलदायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता जय हे जय हे जय हे जय 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 हे
ঠিক আছে, থ্যাংক ইউ মহুয়া।
থ্যাংক ইউ স্যার।
থ্যাংক ইউ। আর দেখা হবে, কথা হবে। সবাই ভালো থাকবেন আপনারা, সবাই ভালো থাকবেন।
নমস্কার।
হ্যাঁ ব্রজরাজদা, হ্যাঁ আপনাকে অনেক ধন্যবাদ জানাচ্ছি। ইয়েস, থ্যাংক ইউ স্যার, থ্যাংক ইউ।
ছাত্রছাত্রীরা তোমরা গান করেছো।
হ্যাঁ, you are very good. The students are very good. I think sir is left. Mir? হ্যাঁ, পার্বতী দি বোধহয় লেফট হয়ে গেছে।
People are leaving one by one, I guess.
হ্যাঁ হ্যাঁ, now all are leaving.
Yeah, so
আমি কিছু প্রিপেয়ার করেছিলাম না, এমনি এমনি কিছু বলে দিয়েছি।
No sir, your deliberation is so nice.
It's very rich. His Brojo sir's presentation is very rich, very close to heart, sir. Namaskar.
Namaskar, namaskar.
So, sir, thank you for coming.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you,
Now,
sir.
now, after this, you go and take a rest. Then you will talk later.
Okay, sir. Okay. Thank you, sir.
Will you announce officially it was closing?
মীর তো অ্যানাউন্স করেনি।
এ বলছে কোয়েল পাল বলছে নাকি?
হ্যাঁ হ্যাঁ, কোয়েল পাল।
ও তো ওই সময় গিয়েছিলাম, দেখা হয়েছিল।
হ্যাঁ, ভালো আছে।
বুঝে গেলাম।
বুঝেছেন? ভালো আছেন তো?
ভালো আছি, তুমি সব ভালো আছো তো?
হ্যাঁ স্যার, ভালো আছি।
ভালো থাকো।
আমরা এভাবেই আজকে আমাদের 2 days ন্যাশনাল ওয়েবিনার আমরা ক্লোজ করছি। উই আর ক্লোজিং আওয়ার 2 days ন্যাশনাল।
যারা সার্টিফিকেট ইস্যু করার জন্য লিংক দিয়েছেন নাকি?
হ্যাঁ হ্যাঁ, ফিডব্যাক লিংক ইজ গিভেন ইন দ্য চ্যাট বক্স।
কই না, তো নেই তো লিংক। যে লিংকটা দিয়েছিলেন সেটা কিন্তু শুধু পেপার প্রেজেন্টারদের ছিল।
Okay, then I will correct it that both the paper presenter and the participants will fill the feedback link, feedback form, and they can get the e-certificate from our end.
That's why so many persons could not submit because of that.
Okay, then we have the WhatsApp group. We have provided that link in the WhatsApp group also.
Okay. আগের দিনেটাও দিন আমি পাইনি।
No, there is a one feedback link for 2 days seminar because it is a consecutive 2 days.
Okay.
So one feedback link you will submit, and then you can get a certificate. I will provide you the feedback link. Please wait for a few hours. Then
okay, no problem at all. No problem.
We will correct the required.
It's not for me.
Because in the paper presentation column there is a required option, so it is not providing. I will correct that by asking my technical hand.
Okay,
sir. Thank you, Sushanta da, for
thank you.
Feedback session. Okay. Koel, are you calling me?
I think Mir can't join, so you officially can close the session.
Okay. Mir is not able to join this webinar again. So with all of sir and my sir, Raj Kumar Sinha sir, Sushanta Kumar Bardhan sir, and others participants, I like to conclude the 2 days session. So this is with this the webinar is closed. Sir,
অনেক খুব ভালো হয়েছে প্রোগ্রাম।
Okay, Shefali, thank you for your comments.
খুব ভালো হয়েছে।
Thank you. Now, Chandranath, you can leave. Chandranath, you can leave.
হ্যালো, দেখ হয়ে গেছে বোধ হয়, এবার দেখে নে। হয়ে গেছে তো? ঠিক আছে। কোথায় আসছিস নাকি? হ্যাঁ, ইনস্ট্রিম করে দিচ্ছি।